Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing great, but if not, or you have any questions or concerns, contact us by either phone or email. We are here to help you. This week, we are going to be covering lessons 17 through 20, so let's get started. This week, you're going to need the lessons manual, the student worksheets, the math card games manual, the multiplication cards and envelopes, the AL abacus, the dry erase board, and you will also need the geared clock. And it looks like that. Since this is your first time using the geared clock, let me show you a little bit about it. If you turn the clock over, you'll see this little piece here. If you'll pull that off, notice there's a little bend to it. That bend will go into this slot right here, and that way the clock will stand up. Also, when moving the clock, you're going to move the blue hand and your red hand will automatically move. So you don't have to actually move the hour hand. All right, well, let's get started with our lessons. Go ahead and turn to lesson 17. This week, we will be reviewing the multiples of 2, 4, 5, and 10, and we will start working on the multiples of 8 and 9. After the warm-up, you're going to play the game Double the Product Memory Game. And we do have a blog for that. The blog is called 2015 Summer Game Number 3, Double Product Memory Game. Under the explanations next to that game, it says, the objective of this game is to make the child familiar with doubling the 4s in preparation for multiplying the 8s by doubling the 4s. Your child will not need to have their 8s memorized by the end of this game. This lesson will also provide your child with 3 different strategies to help get to the solution of the multiples of 8 problems using the abacus. It is not necessary that your child memorizes and masters each of these strategies. The real purpose of these strategies is to help your child get more familiar with the multiples of 8. And you may find that your child gravitates to a strategy, and that will help them in their learning of their multiples of 8. So the 3 strategies are to see the multiples of the 8 on the abacus. The other strategy is to double the 4s, which is really what that one game is about. And the third strategy is instead of multiplying a number by 8, the child will actually multiply by 10, which 10s are really easy, right? But they will subtract the difference. So those are the 3 different strategies that are used. Once they work through those activities and strategies, your child will complete worksheet 7. This will be the last lesson that we'll use lesson 7 or worksheet 7, so you can then file it away if you use the PDF file. With multiples, there are really cool patterns that are emphasized on the envelopes. So if you were to look at the envelope for 8, you can see these patterns. First of all, take a look at the ones place. The ones place is the same on the top row to the bottom row. And also you will notice that they reduced by 2s each time. So you have 8, 6, 2, 4, 0. And then again, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. Now the 10s, the tens place is actually increases by 4. So here you have a 0 to 4, 1 to 5, 2 to 6, 3 to 7, 4 to 8. In addition, it kind of counts. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 repeats, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's just these cool patterns that might help your child get more familiar with the multiples and maybe help them in memorization of them. Notice at the explanation next to the worksheet, it says the child, or next to the worksheet section of the lesson, it says the child is not expected to have these math facts memorized at this time. Rather, at this point, she is seeing that 8 times 7 is a process which can be approached in several different ways. The game for this lesson is What's on Top, which your child played last week. All right, well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 18. In the warm-up section, your child is going to be solving multiplication problems again. Your child can use the abacus for some of these problems if they need to. In lesson 18, your child is also going to learn about the commutative property. This property simply means that you can flip the numbers around in multiplication problem and it will still get the same answer. For example, if you have 2 times 4 and 4 times 2, both of them will equal 8. Toward the bottom of this first page of the lesson, you will see that the term factors will be introduced. It is an important term that your child will need to get familiar with. In fact, you may want to continue using this term as often as possible to help them later on when they learn how to factor. One way to get them more familiar with it would be to also look it up in their math dictionary. When learning about the commutative property, you will be asking your child a number of questions to help them see when order matters and when it doesn't. Keep a chart on the whiteboard or on a sheet of paper so your child can see it. A sample of that chart is listed in the lessons manual. Your child will discover when it matters and when it doesn't matter. For example, it does not matter when you're adding with numbers, when you're adding or multiplying. It doesn't matter what order they're in. That is the commutative property. But the order does matter when you are subtracting and dividing, which is not the commutative property. Lesson 18 will finish out by playing the multiplication memory game, which you played last week. For lesson 18, you're going to use the multiples of 8 when you're playing this game. Well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 19. Just as in lesson 18 of the warm-up, you may find that your child needs to use the abacus to answer some of these problems, and that's okay. In lesson 19, your child will review the multiples of 10 and start learning the multiples of 9. There is a fabulous strategy that is introduced for the 9s on the top of the second page of the lesson. In this strategy, your child will see the multiplication problems such as 9 times 3. But instead of multiplying with 9, your child is going to multiply with 10, which is much easier, right? But then they're going to subtract the 3. So it would be like 9 times 3 would be like 10 times 3 minus 3, which is 27. And this is the strategy that really helped my kids learn their multiples of 9. Once your child has gone over the strategies to help learn their multiples of 9, they will work through part of worksheet 8, and they will use this worksheet later on for further future lessons, so don't file it away yet. Also, for the 9s, there is a pattern that you'll want to notice. I love the 9s. The 9s was fine. So if you look at the envelope, you will see that the ones place goes down. So you have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, but they kind of flip 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Interesting, the tens place goes up by 1. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Also, if you haven't noticed it already, the top row is reciprocated from the bottom. So here you have 0, 9, 9, 0, 1, 8, 8, 1, 2, 7, 7, 2, 3, 6, 6, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. Just these fun little patterns that really can help your child get familiar and learn those multiples. Again, notice under the explanations towards the bottom of the second page, it says the child is not expected to have these math facts memorized at this time. Rather, at this point, they're seeing that 9 times 6 as a process, which can be approached in several different ways. For this lesson, you will play, again, the multiplication memory game, but you're going to want to play it with the multiples of 9. Now, if there is time and interest, you can also work on another multiple. Okay, let's turn to lesson 20. In this lesson, your child will review their work on multiples of 5. For the warm-up, your child may need to use their abacus. However, you'll want them to solve as many problems as they can on their own, just so you can see what your child knows and where they might need some extra work. I know that there are a lot of math problems in the warm-up section, but this will be a shorter lesson, so you can spend a little extra time working on the warm-up questions. You may want to split them up into 2 groups. So do a section of the warm-up at the beginning of the lesson, and then finish off those warm-up problems after the lesson is over. In this lesson, you'll be working with the multiples of 5 by using the abacus. You'll have them complete the worksheet, and they're going to work on the geared clock. I love how Right Start Math uses the clock to help kids review and learn their multiples of 5 and apply the multiples of 5 and clock while reviewing how clocks work. The game for lesson 20 is called Mixed Up Products. There is not a blog for this game, but it really is easy to play. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email us or call us. You may also want to add multiplication memory or multiplication war with a static card that I introduced last week to practice one or more multiplication math fact families. You're going to want to see if you can get your child a little bit closer to learning that multiplication math fact family. Also, spend your 5th day of this week playing more math card games, focusing on one multiplication math fact, maybe two. Start building up their memorization of those math facts. All right, that's it for this week. If you have any questions or concerns as you work through these lessons, email or call us for help. We are here to help you. Have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we talk about lessons 21 through 24. Have a great week, everybody.